The practice of orthodontics has two basic requirements. First and foremost is to have a knowledge about anatomy and growth of head, and second is to regulate the tooth position. But there is an interaction between both of that. So to understand what and how the growth occurs, we need to learn about concepts of growth. Hi folks, today we are going to learn about concept of growth as a new chapter by the braces top. In today's topic, we'll learn about concept of normality, rhythm of growth, growth spurts, differential growth, and Scammon's curve of growth and cephalocaudal gradient of growth. Each one of them can come as a short note or a long note for undergraduate students. For postgraduate students, the question can be modified into pattern, timing, and variability of growth. So you need to know that the answer is same for all of it. Moving on to the concept of normality. For us, if we see something can be normal, but for someone the same thing can be abnormal. So normality refers to what is usually expected and is ordinarily seen or typical. It refers to range and it can change it with age. Like for example, when we were 10 to 12 years younger, something which was normal for us that time cannot be normal to us for today. And this thing should not be confused with what is ideal. Because ideal refers to central tendency. Now the term comes, what is central tendency? To understand what is central tendency, I need to give you an example. Now think of it, the height of 10 boys between the age of 16 to 18 years are as follows: 160, 165, 159, 165, 155, 170, 165, 168, 150 and 165 simultaneously. Now you will say, ma'am, what to do with this? Now I want you people to calculate the mean, median and mode of this datas. Mean you can calculate by adding the sum of all the values divided by 10. Median is something you arrange all these datas in ascending order or descending order. Now if you have 10 things, if you move on from the end first to the last, fifth one comes in the center. Okay, so center is the median. Whatever value you have in the center in the fifth position, you'll have a median. And mode is something, the highest number of repeated values. Among all of this, we see that 165 centimeters repeated a number of times than compared to the others. So the mode is 165. So as I calculate, the mean came as 162.3, which is closest to the 165 among the data. Median 165, mode 165. That means according to these variables and datas which we have, the central tendency ideal value for 10 boys is 165. But the range can be between 160 to 165 or 168. Now if you see that now you will say, ma'am, so what? So if you are having a height in between 160 to 180, which comes in a range, it is called as normal or normal value. But ideal value for a age of 16 to 18 year boy should be the one value which coincides with mean, median and mode, that is 165 centimeter. Next step is, so you have a normal height of 168, which is normal for you, but ideal height will be 165 centimeter. Next step, so we learnt about normality and ideal. So we should not confuse between what is normal and what is ideal. Next step is rhythm of growth. Now we have seen growth waves. We see when we go to an ocean or a beach, we see that the water is coming in a wave. At the wave position, there is an acceleration of the wave. The water is moving upsides and again it is going downwards. Again it is rising up, again it is going downwards. That is called a growth. Human growth also coincides with that. It is not steady and uniform process for every body part. There will be some acceleration, there will be some deceleration. Now, what are these waves? The first wave of increasing of any sudden increase can be from birth to 5th to 6th year, and the most intense and rapid one is during the first 2 years. That is why we plan on to give better nutrition, better environment during the growth of the baby. Second is a slow increase, a slow and steady process from 10 to 12 years for boys, and for girls it should not be more than 10 years. Then is the accelerated growth. This is the pubertal stage. In pubertal stage, the growth accelerates from 14 to 16 years for girls, and for boys it is 16 to 18 years. And finally, the last low growth is between 18 to 20 years for girls, and for boys it is still 25 years. In all conditions, we see that girls tends to mature and grow more earlier than the boys. So when you think of writing something, when you want to write an answer about it, you can just minus 1 or 2 years from the values. You can remember either for girls or for boys. If you are remembering for girls, then you can just minus 2, add up 2 years, and you can write up the value for boys. Okay, don't get confused on this. Now moving on to the growth spurts. A sudden acceleration of growth. We learnt about a wave. Okay, now wave is acceleration and deceleration. We learnt about the wave, but when there is sudden acceleration of growth, it is called as growth spurts. It has various timings. One, just before the birth. Second, 1 year after birth. Third, in mixed dentation period. In boys it is 8 to 11 years, and for girls it is 7 to 9 years. And prepubertal growth spurts for girls it is 11 to 13 years, boys is for 14 to 16 years. Okay, so these are the growth spurts. Moving on to differential growth. Differential growth means not everything is a slow and steady process. Sometimes one part of the body will grow at a time and others can follow below it. There are two curves. First is a Scammonn's curve of growth. Third is a cephalocordial gradient of growth. Now, Scammonn's curve of growth, it is broadly classified into 4 types: a lymphoid, neural, general, and genital. Lymphoid tissue proliferates rapidly and reaches almost 200% of the adult age, and then it is there 200% of lymphoid growth is to protect the child from infection because they are more prone to it. After 18 years, this lymphoid tissue decelerates and come back to the normal adult size. Neural growth, it grows very rapidly and reaches to adult size of 6 to 7 years of age. Very little growth occurs after 6 to 7 years. Third is the general tissue or visceral tissue. It exhibits a S-shaped curve. Rapid growth till 2 to 3 years, followed by a slow growth of 3 to 10 years, and then rapid growth again from 18 to 28th year. Genital organs, they show negligible growth till puberty, and then after puberty they grow rapidly to the adult size. So this is the diagrammatic representation for Scammonn's curve of growth. Now maxillary and mandibular growth, it also follows this curve. Next up is a cephalocaudal growth. Now we have to understand, cephalo means head, caudal means tail. That means a growth towards the tail region. The head is properly developed and the body part which is towards the tail, it follows the growth in the increasing of the time. Now it's called as the axis of increased growth extending from the head towards the feet. Okay, now see, even when we see a baby, the baby's first what he does is he stables the head. Okay, once the head is stable, the baby will start moving their head and feet. They will start crawling, they'll first stand up with the help of walls, but their head is stable. They don't need any wall to fix their heads, and later on they'll start on moving and learning, running and walking. So same thing happens while a body is growing. The head takes up to 50% of the total body length around third month of intrauterine life. At the time of the birth, the trunk and the limbs have grown more than the head, so the head is becoming 30% of the total body length. And this continues till the adult size, where the head is only 12% and rest is formed by the body. Okay. The lower limbs are rudimentary and they grow almost like 50% of body length by the adulthood. This increase of gradient of growth is also evident in head and face. So I need to ask you, what you can see in this picture is a clinical implication of the growth of the skull. First is the growth of the skull area where the maxilla is stable, and later on the mandible is growing. Okay, so see, the size of the head is almost equal, but the lower part of the body, head, that is the mandible, it is growing according to the age. So postnatally the face is growing more as compared to the cranial vault or the cranium. Okay, so this is all about concepts of growth. If you like this chapter, please like, share, comment below what all topics you want me to cover. And please subscribe to my channel, The Braces Talk. Thank you.